3 in a row, 3 points, third in the table. Welcome to Mike MUFC Update. I am Mike, and right now, on this Sunday afternoon at Old Trafford, Manchester United have just moved into the top 3 of the Premier League after a hard-fought, dramatic, character-defining 2-1 victory over Crystal Palace. If you are new here, subscribe right now, hit that like button, turn on notifications, because this channel covers Manchester United with the passion of a lifelong Red Devils supporter and the discipline of a football journalist. Stay until the end, because today we are going in deep. Every angle, every detail, the VAR decision that changed this game, the red card, the penalty, Benjamin Sesko's continued emergence as a genuine Premier League striker, Michael Carrick's growing tactical identity, and what this result means for the rest of this season. We are not rushing. We are not skipping anything. This is the full breakdown. Let us start at the beginning, when Michael Carrick walked back through the doors of Old Trafford. On January 13th, Manchester United were a club in genuine crisis. 3 managers in 3 months, no European football. Bottom half of the Premier League table. A fan base that had lost faith, a dressing room that had lost direction, and a board that was under enormous pressure. Ruben Amorim's departure on January 5th, after just over a year in charge, had split opinion, but by that point the results were speaking for themselves. The football was not working, the squad was not buying in, and the atmosphere around the club was toxic. Darren Fletcher stepped in for 2 matches, a 2-2 draw at Burnley, a 2-1 FA Cup defeat to Brighton. Tough results, but nothing unexpected given the circumstances. Then Carrick arrived, the man who played here, the man who knows what this shirt means. And everything changed almost immediately. Manchester City, away on January 17th. In the derby, 2-0 United. Nobody saw that coming. Then Arsenal away on January 25th. A 3-2 win at the Emirates that had the football world sitting up and paying attention. Then Fulham at home, 3-2. Then Tottenham at home, 2-0. 4 wins from 4. Then a draw at West Ham on February 10th, which felt like a minor slip, but was quickly put in perspective when you looked at the squad availability that day. Then Everton on February 23rd, with Sesko off the bench to score the winner. And today, Crystal Palace at home, 2-1, 7 matches under Carrick, and United have taken 19 points from a possible 21. This is not a coincidence. This is not a bounce. This is a transformation. And it is happening in real time. United's lineup today had one significant selection call that Carrick had been building towards. Benjamin Sesko was handed his first start since that 2-2 draw at Burnley under Darren Fletcher. His performances since Carrick arrived have been outstanding. Coming off the bench, making a difference, scoring goals. The calls from the fan base for him to start have been growing louder with every passing week. Today was the moment. Palace came to Old Trafford with problems of their own. Their injury list has been crippling. Jefferson Lerma out, Cheikh Doucouré out, Daiti Kamada out, Jean-Philippe Mateta out, Eddie Nketiah out, Mark Guedet, their captain and arguably their best defender across the last 2 seasons, sold to Manchester City in January in a decision that sparked a very public falling out between Oliver Glasner and the Crystal Palace board. Glasner has already confirmed he is leaving the club at the end of this season. The Eagles are a club in transition, arguably in turmoil, and yet they came here and in the early stages, they were absolutely competitive. United were not at their best in the opening period. Crystal Palace sat in a disciplined 4-4-2 defensive shape and frustrated the home side. The wide areas were compact. Matheus Cunha was being tracked tightly. Bryan Mbeumo was isolated at times. Bruno Fernandes was trying to find pockets of space, but Palace's midfield was working hard to deny him those channels. Then came the goal that nobody at Old Trafford wanted to see. Maxence Lacroix, Palace's French centre-back who was only just back from an abductor concern, rose to meet a set-piece delivery and his looping header caught Sen Lamens off his line. The Belgian goalkeeper, who has had a solid, if occasionally nervy debut season at Old Trafford, was beaten by the flight of the ball. Palace were ahead. Old Trafford went quiet. For a period, it looked like this could become another frustrating afternoon. Another day where the team's limitations against a well-organised defensive block would be exposed. Crystal Palace were sitting deep, staying compact, protecting what they had, and United were not creating clear opportunities with any regularity. But then everything changed. Bruno Fernandes played a pass. That sounds simple. It was anything but. The United captain, who has had criticism thrown at him in every direction this season but continues to show up on the big moments, slid a perfectly timed through ball into the space behind the Palace defensive line. Matheus Cunha ran onto it. The Brazilian, who has developed a tremendous connection with Fernandes since arriving in the summer, was clear through on goal, and Lacroix, who had scored the opener not long before, grabbed him, dragged him down inside the box. Referee Chris Kavanagh immediately pointed to the spot. Then he paused. He took his time. He stood near the edge of the box. He listened to his earpiece, and moments later, he walked over to the on-field monitor. At that point, Old Trafford knew what was coming. The question was not whether it was a penalty, because that was obvious from the moment Cunha hit the turf. The question was whether it was a red card, whether it was a clear and obvious goal-scoring opportunity denied, whether it was DOG. So, Kavanagh reviewed the footage. He stepped back from the screen. He walked toward the Palace penalty area, and he gave the announcement. After review, Crystal Palace number 5 commits a clear holding offence which denies a clear, obvious goal-scoring opportunity. Final decision is penalty and red card. Old Trafford erupted. Lacroix was devastated. Palace were furious. But there is nothing to argue about here. The DOG-SO criteria could not have been met more clearly. Cunha was clean through. Only the goalkeeper to beat. Last defender. Held deliberately. Penalty and red card. Correct decision. End of discussion. Bruno Fernandes picked up the ball, placed it on the spot, stepped back, and buried it. Calm, composed, precise, 1-1. With Crystal Palace reduced to 10 men, the dynamic of the match changed entirely. Oliver Glasner was forced into a more defensive reorganisation, pulling his shape into a 4-4-1 that relied heavily on the width of Daniel Munoz and Tyrick Mitchell to try and frustrate United in the second period. Carrick made no changes at the interval. He trusted the group. He trusted the process. And within the second half, United began to find their rhythm. And Mbeumo was getting more joy down the right. Cunha was dropping deeper and creating space for the runners behind him. Mainu was controlling the tempo from midfield. And Fernandes was orchestrating. Then came the goal. A delivery from Bruno Fernandes that was, quite frankly, sublime. The weight, the curve, the timing. It found Benjamin Sesko arriving at the back post with the conviction of a player who knows exactly where the ball is going to land. He met it. He finished it. He celebrated in front of the Stretford end with the confidence of a man who belongs here at the very highest level. 6 goals since Carrick arrived. 3 in 3 consecutive matches. A first start rewarded with a winning goal. This is a player who arrived at this club in the summer amid enormous pressure and expectation, and who went through a difficult period under Amorim, where he struggled to find his best form consistently. But now, with Carrick's confidence and with teammates around him who create the kind of chances that suit his movement, he is becoming exactly what United supporters dared to dream when they signed him from RB Leipzig. The second half was not without incident. After Sesko's goal, Cunha went down inside the Palace box under pressure from a defender. Another penalty appeal. Old Trafford rose. Kavanagh was rapid in his decision. He pointed at Cunha and ordered him to his feet. No penalty. The correct call by all accounts, as replay suggested, minimal contact. United supporters accepted it without complaint. The 3 points were there to be won and the team held firm. Crystal Palace, to their credit, kept working. Even with 10 men, even with the injury crisis, even with the chaos surrounding their club right now. They are not a team that gives up, and under Glasner, for all of the difficulties this season, they have retained that competitive edge. But on this occasion, they did not have enough. United saw it out, professional, controlled, composed. Final score, Manchester United 2-1, Crystal Palace. Let us talk about what is actually happening here, because it deserves proper analysis and not just surface-level praise. When Carrick took over, the first thing he changed was the atmosphere. Not the formation, not the tactics, the atmosphere. He walked into that training ground and he demanded standards. He demanded focus. He demanded that every single player understood exactly what was expected of them on a daily basis. Tactically, United have shifted away from the high-pressing, high-line system that Amorim was attempting to implement, but which never truly clicked with this squad's personnel. Carrick has given the team more defensive shape, a clearer defensive structure that allows the wider players to attack with the security of knowing there is genuine protection behind them. The fullbacks are more disciplined. The midfield two of Ugarte and Mainu are sitting properly, screening the defence, winning second balls. And in the final third, Carrick has empowered his creative players. Fernandes is operating in a role that suits him perfectly. He is not being asked to press from the front. He is not being asked to play wide. He is in the pockets behind the striker, driving play, switching the ball, threading the passes that only he can thread. The pass for Cunha's run today, the delivery for Sesko's winner, that is the Bruno Fernandes that United fans fell in love with. That is the player who earns his shirt. Cunha has been a revelation. When he arrived at United in the summer, there were questions about whether he would be clinical enough, disciplined enough, consistent enough. In the early part of the season, under Amorim, those concerns had some validity. But under Carrick, he has found a home. He links play, he drops deep, he drags defenders out of position and creates space for the runners around him. He draws fouls and earns penalties. He works for the team. This afternoon was a perfect illustration of everything he brings. And Mbeumo continues to prove that his fee was worth every penny. The Cameroonian international has pace, directness and composure in the final third. He is already on double figures for the season, and his combination play with Dalot on the right side is becoming one of United's most reliable attacking patterns. And then there is Lenny Yoro. The young Frenchman has quietly become one of the most assured centre-backs in the Premier League, playing alongside Maguire today, who, for all the criticism he receives from certain sections of the fan base, remains a genuinely effective defender when managed properly and given clear instructions. Together, they held firm against whatever Palace could throw at them, particularly in the opening half, when Palace had their best moments. Manchester United are now third in the Premier League. Let that settle for a moment. After everything that has happened this season, after the Amorim experiment, after the chaos and the noise and the questions about whether this club knew what it was doing, Manchester United are third in the Premier League. Aston Villa lost to Wolves on Friday night. They remain fourth, 3 points behind Liverpool, who sit at the top. United are above Villa on goal difference. The gap between third and first is now genuinely within touching distance, if the form continues. Liverpool under Arne Slot remain the team to beat. They have been the most consistent side in the league from day one, and they have the quality and the depth to maintain that. But United being in third and closing is a statement of intent. It says that Carrick's appointment has not just been a short-term bounce. It says that this squad, when managed correctly, is genuinely capable of competing at the top of this league. The focus now must be on maintaining this form, on keeping the squad fit, on converting draws into wins and wins into momentum. There is an international break approaching and then a run of fixtures that will define exactly where United finish this season. Every single United supporter is asking the same thing tonight. Is Benjamin Sesko now the undisputed first-choice striker at this club? Based on what we have seen since Carrick took over, the answer has to be yes. 6 goals in 7 Carrick matches, 3 starts, 3 goals in those starts so far. The physical profile, the movement, the composure under pressure, the way he brings teammates into play, the way he finishes with both feet and in the air. There is no debate to be had here right now. He is in form, he is confident, and he is delivering at exactly the moments this team needs him to. Carrick has backed him publicly in his post-match comments, describing him as a player who trains with genuine quality every day and who deserves the opportunities he is getting. The only caveat is that consistent form over a full season is the true measure of a striker's quality at the top level. Sesko is building that consistency now. He is not there yet in terms of a full body of work, but the trajectory is exactly right. The progression is exactly right, and at 22 years old, the best years are still ahead of him. On a day when United's victory was deserved and celebrated, it would be wrong not to acknowledge the difficulties facing Crystal Palace right now. This is a club that won the FA Cup last season, that qualified for European competition for the first time in their history, that had Oliver Glasner, widely regarded as one of the best managers in the Premier League. And yet here they are, 13th in the table, a manager heading for the exit, a captain sold in January, a first-choice goalkeeper in Dean Henderson back from a difficult period, and an injury list that reads like a medical textbook. Maxence Lacroix will now serve a suspension for the red card today. He had only just returned from injury. Losing him for further weeks is a significant blow for Glasner's already depleted defensive options. The January arrivals of Brennan Johnson and Jorgen Strand-Larsen showed ambition, but neither is yet fully integrated. The exits of Gui and Eze have left holes that have not been adequately filled. There is a rebuild needed at Crystal Palace this summer, regardless of who the manager is. The foundations built by Glasner deserve credit, but the squad needs investment and stability to push on from here. Palace supporters deserve better than what this season has delivered, and it will be fascinating to watch how the club navigates the months ahead. Sunday, March 1st, 2026. Manchester United 2-1 Crystal Palace. A VAR assisted penalty and red card that turned the game. Bruno Fernandes at his brilliant best, winning a penalty, scoring a penalty, and delivering the ball for Sesko's winner with the precision of a top-class playmaker. Sesko responding to the trust his manager has placed in him with his third goal in 3 consecutive matches. And a Manchester United team that is quietly, consistently, convincingly making the case that they belong back among the serious clubs in this league. Michael Carrick said when he arrived that he was not here to manage the club into mediocrity. He was here to build something. 7 matches in, 19 points from 21, third in the Premier League, and a dressing room that looks like it believes. Again, that is the story of this Sunday afternoon. That is Manchester United in March 2026. I am Mike. This has been Mike MUFC Update. If you enjoyed this breakdown, please subscribe, hit the like button. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to know what you make of Carrick's United, what you make of Sesko's form, what you make of the top 4 race from here. Turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Stay red, stay united. I will see you very soon.